Mema obibia jo adesumama yema yimu nsem eniama no ne de na mede ebrem na nsem a mubetie no na poso bi ne se NDC amanyoko no yenra samije mfinu ma friends centrofo ne na omo kire se ma me ha wakumsin de se atwate dom nyina sahene no ma me ye gangster papa watimi atutuo afenso na adodankwa ekofo adode atudwa se ka adwuma ne ba bi opese wodi duro no enya asem ketoa enu nti wo mo aya edika adwumadie ho ade wo man yi mu no wo mo enfo mo tam emebo no dia no na wo mpagya adwuma no emfa enkonkan yenra kofi akpalu ena kasa no so obenya mampanyini dia se de amafo mo ko universities no ni nyina be ye free e de ama wo nti ento aba emfa emanuwei dwadie kasebo eka ho na afensukura ni gidie kasebo ena amanone dia mo bete se yenra Donald Trump we dia tudwa se America wo mpe wo ho no man nose mask no wo be hye wo ba bo hwene ene anu Brazil se wo mpe ofisa yade no kosoro wei ene afoforo pi na mede ebremo mede edinya akon abrono majima Ave kasia bono enchemu ni adesimama na wani aya chase edika hujuma metra Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana Vagad one more asada apempenifu ewomu no ne members ni bia tutu wona akọ Jubilee House na adodanko akofo adona so eno mukosra no na ebro mukoduru ye na wo mubotu man no na akofo ado akire na ni so ade hunu ba bia opeso ade ka adwuma no ekoduru wode ato wanim se womo ne aban enka womo tamo emma no fise ba bia opeso ade adwuma ni kro no eya abefo kwan sokra
whereby people at the lower end of the income stream can also have access to cars, and not necessarily to second-hand cars. Why not to brand new cars? That's the basis on which Volkswagen was created in Germany 60, 70 years ago. What does Volkswagen mean? It means the car for the people. And it was created to enable people at the bottom end of the wage scale in Germany at the time to be able to have access to cars just like people at the top end could have access to Daimler, to Benz, to BMW, etc. So it is possible in a well-orchestrated, well-constructed automobile industry in a given country that all the various ranges of incomes can find a way of satisfying themselves and their needs for a car, and not necessarily through foreign imports. I think that is what we all have to sit down and work towards. And in so doing, the point that you have made that we have to find a way of protecting all of those in the value chain, that objective can be also achieved.
3, 2, 1,
na ekuo no echochofo panyine yenra opoko agema Joshua wono so ewase a panyina wogina na na mu kenkan ye no wo de adesade to aban nanim se anamoni a wode begu akwan policies ahodo obeye na aboa wo mu so adwuma na ban enyema won.
Surprise, none of our legitimate concerns was adopted nor addressed in the policy document. We, our members, and affiliates nationwide consider the approach adopted by the sector minister as a stab in the back and feel seriously dribbled and really frustrated as a key stakeholder. Input request for the passed Customs Amendment Bill 2020 by Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana and its affiliates. The Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana is totally for and not against the entry of assemblers or manufacturers into the Ghanaian automotive industry. We also cannot object the ban on right-hand drive motor vehicles except by the approval of the minister, according to the amended section of the Customs Bill 2020 Act 891. All the union humbly asks for from Your Excellency is a healthy and competitive automotive market where all stakeholders are protected under the Ghana Automotive Manufacturing Development Policy.
Na ene NDC amanyokuo no womo afran santrofo ayira sami jemfia oshonkita wudie nsam so wono ene odi mu aprepre japa womo si na se e ka de ane na kyerese maame ha wakomsi yeyi ni sasoafo ye nimse de pen be sha ne nsam amo atworo na se wono ya gangster sa maame ya chate dom nyina dom so sahene no wo ba watutuo na womo si saa de no ekoso e wo kasoa empotam ho no de entwa yi
of that invitation, if indeed it was an invitation, because it wasn't an invitation. The police rather went to her house. So we know that because this is a well thought out orchestration being supervised by President Akufo-Addo himself, who is commander-in-chief, she will be left off the hook like the several other MPP criminals Honorable Vice-Free Ankra mentioned, who have been left off the hook despite the atrocities they have committed against NDC supporters and innocent civilians. And that is why we are serving notice. You see, when you talk about things like this, people say, oh, you are complaining too much. You are talking too much. We are in opposition. We bet this fourth Republican democracy. And as a responsible opposition, a law-abiding political party, it is our responsibility to continuously highlight these acts of violence, these cruel acts which have the tendency to plunge this country into chaos and doom. It is our responsibility to do so, and that is why we are doing it. But above all, we also have a right to defend ourselves. And that is why our elections director, and even before today, our national youth organizer, has called on all party supporters to defend themselves in line with the right to self-defense provided under the Constitution. And today we are reiterating that call. Comrades who are listening to us this afternoon, do not sit aloof and allow these cowards and criminals to beat you, maim you, and even kill you. You have a right to defend yourselves. Mobilize yourself. Come together. Whatever you can get you can get to defend yourself against harm, against death, do so. Call on us anytime you need any support, and we will stand by you every step of the way to make sure that we resist this oppressive rule, this rule of terror and tyranny we are all being subjected to. And we know we shall prevail at the end of the day. But we have also cautioned members of our security agencies who still have their conscience intact, their integrity intact, and who are not happy with what is happening, that they must rise up and be counted. This is the time for them to act. Today, the Ghana Armed Forces is being bastardized. As for the police, they've been rendered useless by this government, which has bastardized all state security agencies. But there are good people in there. And I dare say that the good people in there are in the majority. And that is why we are appealing to their conscience that people are...
Yera same jemfi enana wo hye no wono na hwenkita hodie ensem so ema NDC amanyuko yento aso ema mo na panyina wono ne kura franka mudima amanyuko aye friend se Liberal Party of Ghana LPG Yera Kofi Akpalu odi atudwa sa me kwasem ni wono se de nwumasua ho hia ne pa se Ghana fo etue kokromoti fo pa na de kokromoti ekotim de ono amo LPG gas ya ano kwasam se nkoba amafo beko university kra free bisa kra ko school no an odri sa university no a ehon go ko tue ska kase nanso so wono de enkoba ye ne free
excellence where world-class research and development will take place. Our primary and secondary school students will once again have the confidence to dream to be inventors and scientists. Salaries of our teachers and workers in the educational and healthcare sector especially will be something to be proud of, timely and compensating. My government will not owe a single teacher. My government will provide free Wi-Fi services to our educational institutions. That's from primary to secondary to university. There will be free Wi-Fi. because we want our children to utilize ports into information or technology. Our primary, secondary, and tertiary healthcare institutions have to be upgraded to world-class standard. Centers of excellence where world-class research and development will take place. Our primary and secondary school students will once again have the confidence to dream to be inventors and scientists. Salaries of our teachers and workers in the educational and healthcare sector, especially, will be something to be proud of, timely and compensating. My government will not owe a single teacher. My government will provide free Wi-Fi services to our educational institutions. That's from primary to secondary to university. There will be free Wi-Fi because we want our children to utilize ports into information or
na apomode empenimfo enso afrance ntrofo ama panyipa wono na ye director general Yemra Patrick Kuma Abuaje one centrofo akasa sen kwada no anansen ya omkotoro nsoshe ewo senior high school sinimu no ebeto odwan se enkwada ni bi enya COVID-19 ibi na emudodo no anso ene ho ato.
Our girls had 51 confirmed positives, 56. They have all recovered and back to school. Accra High currently has just one active case who has not recovered. He's still under care and isolation center. Of the cases in Adan, of the 10 cases from Adan Secondary Technical, 7 has recovered. Wesley Grammar, no case. St. Mary's had 2. In fact, Wesley Grammar has 6 suspected cases. They have not been confirmed, and so they are just in quarantine. And we have Ablekuma, where the St. Mary's, where we had 2 cases who are all recovered. For Ebenezer Secondary School, there was 3 suspected cases, 1 confirmed case, and that case has recovered. So this means that there's no problem in the school. When you come to Okanke North, the Achimota has 7 cases, and the 7 have all recovered. When you come to the Odogono, they had 18 confirmed cases. It's quite recent, and we are waiting for them to recover, but they are all asymptomatic. So of the 96 positives among the Greater Accra schools, which is a large number of schools, which is probably account for the second largest population of secondary schools in terms of number, apart from Ashanti region, we had 96 cases, and 73 are fully recovered and back to school conducting the business. We can also talk about Volta region, where we had 1 case from Maoli girls, who is on her 14th day, as of yesterday, when I got this update, which means that she's out of school and back to school to work. Dabala Technical had 3 cases. 1 has 1 active case, who is also on the 14th day, so she is also going to I'm sure she is also out, because that was the 14th day as of yesterday. The rest, all schools have been assigned to health facilities, and health workers are assigned to every school. We have their names, their number, the schools have their names, their number, the district director, education, everything is there, and they have room. The risk communication on safety and school composition is intensified. We are giving continuous training for teachers and everybody. Outbreak investigation is always on the way, and that's why we're able to pick up positives and quickly isolate them. The psychosocial counseling and support of children and their parents are currently ongoing. PTAs, teaching and non-teaching staff, and task members gain the reinforced knowledge and address fears of anxieties.
Yantua Kasia Boneso and Mamonene Asantimantem ha Center for Democratic Development, CDD, and Penin4. Woman saw a friend central for Manyokom Penin4. And I feel so crabby to my phone Penin4. Ya, and something in an say. 1 year, ya just say, war a bam 1 year woman, you simono. Ayana, woman is so I do no mukruch ready gun crata swa. Ya can't say manifesto no. Ayana be the emu of rem. And to almost share now, what much said you may dear show be a manifesto, Sabia song. With me and Quanquas say, manifesto be and Faquem be a now dear barber tour. Na Jumedina send a central for a coyano. Ya boy, whom I did be a say, ya nip and pa. edima CDD obenfo kwesi prempe bebo nkomo na ochire dwumadie no empompon so
na ye ne say 2020 election na CDD ye ne election bia ba we very busy na this year they say election observation in my area ye be say di dwuma fufuro bi and then say ye be say Ghana for manifesto a party 4 year do election amoko campaign am say ye be yes amabo ye be yes ye be yes school ye be yes ye who say Ghana for age manifesto na to say ya depa say ko election na wo kire ni obe ya you to be far eno so na me so no eto na ye ne say party no mo kwa na mo trust through manifesto e on promise na fe ye say pese amanfo so enya input eco party manifesto nti efi be January and last December you started say you gather information sector bia sector ni share problems e wo because manifesto no ade parties no the wo manifesto no say parties no e ka no omo kire ni ombe ye ama Ghana etu into you identify problems and what agriculture because you divided into cash crop divided into cocoa ne crops you economy you education social protection health transport and you need for experts akasa you need Ghana for through Afrobarometer you need World Bank people so much about Ghana I can na na dia boom so okay you share areas
na omunso a ekọ dwumadi na sibie dodo na ya amanyofo no womunso so ekire de omakosua ene de omate
has always presented realistic manifestos that are measurable. And what CDD has done today is to open up the thematic areas. They've given us 10 thematic areas that should be our focus. And I think it is in consonance with our already existing policies and for the designing or drawing up of our manifestos. I think we are very happy to be part of it. And it is also going to augment what we are already doing on the ground. We will not come up with policies that are not realistic, that are not measurable. We assure all Ghanaians that we will continue to be truthful to everyone, and we are so happy to be part of the program. Thank you very much.
But bottom line, your manifesto no dey wo dada ense se bia wo ana na mo to bia wo manifesto no bia no ye tu dada ade bi o mo se national agenda na metimi akanam dey se so dua se ya na mo to bia ye tu no it falls within the national agenda, i.e. education, oba agri, granting for food and jobs, oba a friend is health, oba nini na mo be gidi se ya chese no but je se na mdodo on say nkwan nti mo dey aba na nyina so e behwe na mo se mpanyefo so nyina tie. Yes, we actually need I didn't know concern no the issue of $1 million per constituency. Untiasia, Manchester sanity. Untiasia, who some boards in I set up, what in development, middle belt and coastal belt. Yeah, women are no one transit say no. It is kind of could do one constituency, or Babu for become me afa. But then, only yes, I say no, a boy, I must send you a day no more. I'm a share all the constituencies and projects on air cost. A bit per markets. We all cry gatters no pay. We all cry up a nursery block will be open. Telling me, I'm say the Juma, no, I one district, one factory. So I had Juma, called district, we have been speaking about 58 of them. In now feeding into national development agenda. To make them with them up, I said, you may deal with the Dido on a said you more cannon. And in an answer, woman, a bay follow up, and I'm gonna put a bay follow up. No, we did manifest tonight to no much as say. Now, I said the only thing for, and happy before say, there be ready. Now we follow up problems at the Castle Bay. Why are not so yet? Then we can have a case. I just had the make me a say all in all. I had the idea and buy a baby. There was a decision I become, I met me a case to say the new. And
Central for and Kabumukua, a woman, you yabano Denny. Yera Roland Affair Money. Na wadi ato ensentrofo nyina anim se ade achi ade sana dwuma no e wo ensentrofo sua se ye koyanim enti se bia reporting na wo yo se ye de na wo ka e wo se wotimi ko wanim na eniema bia ye stories bia fa enipa ye to wo mo human trafficking ne de keka ka ho no se ekoto wo mayimu ye me ni mere wo ho na ye masu yie pa akopem se saa ade yi ade bia ba so wo man Ghana ye kon pa na e was central for bo akire sa akopem se sadi ebetimi afri wo man
from blatantly violate Article 15 of the 1992 Constitution, which says the dignity of all human beings shall be inviolable. So human trafficking does not only violate this constitutional provision, but also degrades human beings who are the image bearers of God. So if the media are to be effective in this fight, we should move away from fire service or ambulance journalism, which means we talk about human trafficking when it occurs. But we need to sustain the fight. Sustainability is a key element in this fight. So, whilst departing from the ambulance or fire service journalism, we need to sharpen our focus on human trafficking until it is consigned to the dustbin of history. Ghana is a reference point in standard measure when it comes to democracy, when it comes to human rights, when it comes to development in other dimensions. But the way the country is portrayed in the most negative circumstances, all the shine in such areas of democracy and respect for human rights stand the risk of being diluted by human trafficking. So this is a charge the media need to keep, that this is a winnable war, and for us as a nation to win the fight against human trafficking, the fight should be fought on a sustainable basis. Indeed, it is like feeding a shark. We ought to liken the fight against human trafficking to feeding a shark. And when feeding a shark, you don't stop. Once you stop feeding the shark will eat you up. So, once again, it bears reiteration that the media have a godly, professional, ethical, and moral responsibility not only to intensify the fight against human trafficking, but also to ensure that we win this fight and win it so convincing.
Na asuye share enwumasua ensem so na afin so kra National Teaching Council NTC no ene UNESCO wo ma hyeda hyehye dwumadi su no nkombi kra ne nyina efa akyerkyerefo wono mo hyehye papa bi epese de gu akwan mu metre National Teacher Policy a wono pese de ba no na dwumadi na sempanimfo pi ene kasai
Shadati se yebehwe school near the Suamu Sakraimu na yede ahwe se Ghana adisua near the Chebe Koso amagana so afa de to apafra wo adisua mu aye fellow National Education Reform Secretariat what am I
great opening for show and entity for Ghana fu nyina hu fufra by no ombenya free
medasi efa eshisha aban any Ministry of Education no ni nyina botai ne se yebehwe ama Ghana adisua akoso nti hwa aban no ye nhihye bebre ebi fa teacherfo ntitie ho ebi fa school
adekyerɛ ho ebi fa kwan a teacherfoɔ fa so akyerɛ adeɛ ɛwɔ so ɛwɔ yɛn schools no mu ɛna ebi nso so ɛnam kwan a yɛbɛfa so a yɛbɛhyɛ da ahwɛ ateacherfoɔ ama wɔnya gyina pa bi ama wɔn adwuma no so ɛsɔ ani na ɛnɛ dwumadi a yɛredi no gyina ateacherfoɔ ankasa so kwan bɛn na yɛbɛfa so a yɛbɛhwɛ sɛ ateacherfoɔ bɛtumi anya gyina pa a ɛbɛma w'adwuma asɔ ani ama yɛn schools no nso mmɔfra no nso atumi asua adeɛ ama Ghana nso yɛatumi atu mpɔn wɔ adesua mu. Bebree fi sɛ Ghana yɛstartee sukuu ase yɛahyehyɛ bebree a ɛfa teacherfoɔ ho na ne nyinaa no yɛmmoa ne nyinaa no yɛmmɔ no tɔfae wei nam ha kwan yɛfa so ɛtete ateacherfoɔ kwan yɛfa so ma ateacherfoɔ adwuma kwan yɛfa so etua wɔn ka kwan yɛfa so
Kasieboye Kessben TV so me home so na magye aboafo nkrato na sami ba dia ka eche enso ede. Memamo akwaba adishima madia kechere ena mede etuasoe na adishia ewo dominance wamso ati asem papa ya chirese bekwae empotemo wasem ena mekan wamo enya community center kese ewo ho na ene ebra mrahye bedwani owo mpotemo ho yenwa Joseph Osewusu Jowais wo ba no chese amafo si man fans nyasem ketwa taxi adrafo wamo frano eyi Jowais anase eyamanse nsonoma na sede papa isi gin samba e won potemo won anya asem keto afise adisade amafo no edito nanim no eno ana yemra Osewusu eyeye na chese ska wode emaye so womofa enkukuru saa community center no na anya asem keto ayene ne bonkomo mo kasa sei
minkro wo ha ne dunsia no obia hia bibia kamenya nkamaye ni nyina awie nanso mensanso ni nyina so preku na mom mehwem ahaide sika menyan wenkwa ha de twato a me de baaye na ye billion miensa me de billion ba ko ma nananom kokofufo me de billion ma nananom adumasa eye asamfi ena me se de aka de me de bre nananom dominasefo nananom me kai pa se emfe na etwamini abontoa ye di akone aba me beto mrantia no mo school edwom ho de omu kan ze lawyer ye yemwa na kure yenye yi a ka kwan so ne mfikyire ne school park so ye wedding a agise ebo apata park so ti boy ne nya baby a ye bedi nhyiamu ka se mate me de be ko baby a hu ske bia me kwa kope bia ba ti me ne Ministry of Local Government and afi Common for Administrator Kotina say Mira me pe moa koma me nkron kese no osim the speaker chain ya chiche common for ni nyina na afisa de be ka say no mefro me ho no frame say for project me ensabra na me nyama adaroma me the project me ensa me kan ye koi and ye de hu sika ma me nanom ye beba be ye campaign ye beba pa na mum me kam obia te se bi enyado Moma batwa matum prensa ma me ena eno so ama omampani de matena baby a ye kyade ne bi kase a ye sa ma me bi kan ho eno bi na madaroma me konya ya me de abai babatwa mato ne prensa no ehon fa so bi na ye die se ye koso a ye benya bi so aka ho nanso sabre ye wo mu sabre na me bend ye kyade a me kwa menya biba anya sade an kamagime ne monyama wie kamagime de wie enso me jai sesi a na ma ya amanse ma ya bro eno nti na hia se madaruma mo ma me nto aso na me ni mi rakufo ado sabre ya oche ye cha me nya biba no
Nana Ntimba na hene wano ansoso esa ye konte hene ya kyese owo domina se ho na wahin kase nso eda yira jo se wusu ase papa na afi nana adodankwa akufuado
me describe wa chira hu ayese me amgina he ya ne mo me manije ma ho a fi se me nyine ya me ba akura mu a me hu se de kuresi tie kro no ye kureso ba ne ma bebre nim ebi ni ba bi a ye social center nipa be hia tambia yesusu ana ekotwa bre ne abompata yewi a kotutu akohye no ekire ne ba canopy yeso ana e de kone e de ba nti mbia ni hia ne ka yense wakoje kwan di abre ne a ya de ba ko ese hia ye ba bi a ye be hia say ye yo say ye dinto say ye birthday party no so ene enye hwe eno kwan de obebo modi nti nukure ni tama obehia ya o ka so o de check na ba no na ye ni je pa bize na ye ni naso fize o man no so be kwai man a o hwe ne so obi a pe bibi nti ze wo nya bibi ba kwa ne ensusu ye be se nya we aka nti sa project o de aba ha die eye ni je kesima domnasman
papa me de se de me de kra de me hu ni amenka efise ye kro yi na nka ye kwan nyina nya ekwan yi e basa na me kai se na na do ba ye kro mu ana o hye ye bo se oba ye kwan ye obeya aman nti ye de ye mpa ya ni se kwan a na enye na na beba no wa beya aman nyame adom oba ye nso papa wani tua wo we se de adwuma ekosu ya na che se kwan yi wa ye kra ma na bro so na se ba bi a ye benya te se ye be ye yie ana se bibi hia ye be ye no so o ya amaye enu nti ye hu de ye nkana na de ye betu ama no na lawyer nso ye betu ama ne papa ye betu ne asan to bi me fi se de hia
enti enye nwa se amafo ebo lawyer baso se wo mo betu ama no na yira jedu nuakon wano so enadwumadie ne no wasie bi nana oye coordinating director ewo bekwa municipal se crowd wo ahumgie mu wada lawyer se papa ewo anamon a otuye na enensusu kokwa secrecy ni na yenyina na yesu na bia yemra Sir John wono ebre bia atwamu na oye chochofo panyinimpo edima NPP amanyekuo na kokoba se na adedankwa akufo Dubai peja no edi ne call forestry commission ho bo adwuma na se papa enwa ye fekama na ba mo wu a wono de wonsem wo na wode ne nsanyunyunu ababeto Sir John komo atwe no edi ne kone NPP guru sipa no mo free enkanan Ghana mampanyina be de eche Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia ena afenso kra mpanifo chocho wuro yemra nimonyamfo Samia Wukonom Fred Blay ena honorable Simon Osemensa na Masanti Mantemia Sofo chase guru sidie wo mokoye honorable Osei Chimensa Bonsu majority leader wakasa adwumedie na say
ena busia ema omampani eni omampani abidi chief of staff eni mpanimfo asotu yese ena yibidi ni na wotika na efese ohe adwuma ura Sir John eti ama Ghana mai na wedi ade ama MPP amanyukuo na oso mampani etu nipa na ebo modern ni eba monim ke dom abeba no enye dom we na so yare akodi ewu a abesinsa ye nyina akomu ena bi we aba etimu mo mampani abedi akire wa ha oba abesi niwura o mampani na na adodankwa akofo ado anem no ne mpanimfo ne nyina ade yakọ aba na ebusuafo enduwe de asam na mama o mapaniti yese na modi na wotena no eno de beka mo na yina jadi na wotena de masi ayemuda en crime akonya badia
Na maame Ekuyadonko wasenye no wono ene ye ba no dani Ghana Federation Party wono so kwaye ni bi na wase ebra wote sedwon wo no anhye da anye ani papa e wabo adwuma pa wo kanfo no
I'm found never someone who you know. And then come on, yes. That's a little bread. You know, the other thing. When you can't, that's a little bread. No, I didn't like one. Just say, oh, yeah, my family. That was this way with the problem. See what? The one of them get to
ene konfanoche abaya sabia mpanimfo wo mo so friends centrofo na mpanimfo nsem wo mo kanyina nse fibra coronavirus baye wo mo konfanoche wa santimantem ase yade ne bia ba ho pa anye bia be se eduowoche ba ko cases no 81 cases ena abaho nanso ekwan o mafaso asi aso yade na no asomu no amano antratra dodo se de bia nka hospital bia enko mo beye fise na ekwan omufa so omubo omu ban no ewo soro pa
efirasa rampo ya mpanifo yo mu ewo konfa no chia ban ya asabia wono matimi friends emtwerefo a wono ma kyerɛkyerɛ nsɛm ahodoɔ mu ɛde akyerɛ wo mutitiri wefa covid-19 yade ye baye ɛkon ya wono ɛhwai wo so ne sɛde ho hyehyɛde ɛte ɛwo konfa no chia ban ya asabia na wɔpanipa ya wono ɛna ɛda konfa no chia ban ya asabia mekyerɛ Dr. Wahine ba wosu danso onidi onanimu a wɔkyerɛkyerɛ nsɛm ahodoɔ pinu a ya wɔkyerɛ sɛ sisi obo man Ghana mu a nipa ya omu ɛnam coronavirus yade no so awuo no de fa kɛseɛ no a efirasa ntimantamu na ne nkasa ye mu bra wo kyerɛkyerɛ nsɛm no sei ɛna ɔhene ba owusu danso kyerɛkyerɛ mu ɛfa
yɛn ankasa adwumayɛfo a ɛno mu adwuma wɔ ha no ɛbɛsi ndɛ ɛmu apem aduɔtwe baako ɛna saa test yi yɛayɛ ɔm bi ɛna ɛmu ahanu aduonum nan ɛna ɛnya yɛade ne bia na sɛ wɔn test positive saa no yɛ mekasa yi yɛadwumayɛfoɔ no obie ni ha yagina to ha enam ya nti ena obie ni so a sebo so oda ventilator so sami nipa aduonu ena omo isolation ya se omo timi emma adwuma se se omo nye isolation na dodo no ewo sabi ahotom a meka say wɔtena na de tia de ko bia no ebi ebeba adwuma ko so obi anko ne data yɛde ama no sɛ ɔnkɔ isolation be 2 weeks no ɔmina so yɛ ni to machi nipa ne ba ha so no anase test na yɛ ne ɛsan sɛ ahayɛ hospital kɛse ti no ɔmina yɛ nipa hodo ɔmo ba ha ɔmo yare enti no ba ha enti de obo be sɛ ɔmo yɛ symptomatic afi so no Oma yɛhwɛ ɔmo ɛwɔ hayi hɔ no baabi a yadeɛ no kɔsoro ayɛ hɔ no yɛ baabi a yɛrehwɛ te sɛ deɛ oboni bɛsɛ intensive care unit anaasɛ baabi a wɔyɛ ne mu ɛyɛ dina ɛhɔ ɛna yɛde ɛhwɛ wɔ anaasɛ wɔ hɔ na yɛde ne ba no na sɛ wɔafiri mu dada na sɛ wotu mu sɛ nnipa no fakaseɛ no anaasɛ nnipa no dodoɔ no ɛkyɛ ansa na ɔmaba hospital anaasɛ ɔmakɔ baabi ama ya reform ama omo dia baha sabi ya meke se ewuni bi ho ma ye yamu nhwemu kakra ka na intimo se what south eni
Kasiebo yi efiri Kessben TV so ye home so aba ye ba dwadie Kasiebo Mami ni di grace omabo na emom se wo kase mami dokona na obi abehu mami aya kire se na wo twa sinia ne ho ofe wonyini da akwa bi brofo ase refusing to grow na ene dia wo dia futuo na ema ne yonko twi ni twafo ensem wo ka che onyina ne se wo mo ba no mo bagidi e wo sinini mu a wono wadi cancer na wo ka dia kire obi ase wo fa ne nkowurawura amanyosem mu na amanyosem ne dia wo de ho be kwa akohyem afi obeboa wo mo campaign ni de keka wan hwekura po sika kra yemfa ma wo na so mo lusu afi yemfa anye hui biem na wa soso kra na wo twasi ni na hwa no ko bi pe wasem enso amanyo sem bia wo de ho kofrofro kra na ho akoye hin
Chesi ni yase no mo gina mo na so ache pa na wonom da so a ekura wo mudiem wo ho odenia na uyi maame dokono anase grace o ma abofri mu a na chese enye ye kura na no ena maame woni enuanom semtwefo bi akobɔ nkomo won kanan na onom ebusa na nisuade hunu ewo amanyosemu wono de wo kire se waka kakra hwe na se de sikoma ano ne de enya de se etwa ye kura ne senti wo betu sine yufuo nyina afo se wonom hwe no manfo ho nkofore amanyosem titiru ewo man Ghana mu wakire se wo ye siniyifo anasa wo ye nwomtoni na wo yi wanim se wo ta amanyokuru yi anasa amanyokuru wo ye chia ene bo mpaye pa se sa amanyokuru no wono betimi awene na omadi nkunim aba abanwa so nya sa pa de ne wo moboro de wo kyeta wisie wakire se bra siniyifo anasa nwomtofo betimi ye wonanim na wono manya amanyokuru so mfaso kakra ne se bia wono ebontoa anasa rally no ene wo betimi de akira toto nwomo a na waje osika na wakọ baabi na emom se wo beyi wanim pa se wo ye campaign ya wonya bibi kapre wo so kura ne de ene na wahwe ne mienu wajira se bibia kura mpo danchen ya samonyokuo no waban mu kura na so no mu firi hodo mu a na producers ya onom efrefre sine yefo mu twasine no onom frewa na atwetwe mu aso kakra fisi onom ba be frewe se wo ye MPP ni a NDC fo ya omoto sine ne beka se we wo mu nko ade me nkoto sanso na wo ye NDC ni a MPP fo ya omo ba be twe sine ne beka se we wo mu nko ade me nkoto eba sa no na producers no onom eye onyiyimu enti ono de obetu sine yefo pa ne nwomtofo titru fo se wonom hwe no manfo mu ho rura amanyosemu
na akuma mama Zimbi maame na ono soso ni duku esemfre ewo wiase wo boduku a ahwe ya enokra ye pagya de soa obi kura no a enipa ne bemem na wochese de ne esitie na wodo ho kura program a waye se de osidi ne kasa no ana da bre binu mu se da bre Yesu kura fo nyini kura bi ni mama Zimbi damu o na so ebi mu kura taage no se da bre ono kura sabonsam bi kura poyere eno no wone central for ne kasa
opie baabi anya obi ena be kire se akuma ena ekuroi na maami ne dwumadie pa wodie pa eye odoso nkomo anase wodoso ahoma ye no no eye nsem ahodo ya efa be ma ne oba nkita hodi ahodo mu aye die titru empaso agoro na maami wodi sa dwuma ya che ya wona baabi anu na manfo de won se tenetere so a kire sampa maami ena wotimi ka dwamansem pa ema sebe wo ye be ma akora na otadue mu asode ne no ena sesi akuma mama Zimbi ede abeto monten a wo kire se sese nipa pinu na ebu ne bonsam efiri se ne dwumadie ya wodie no akakọ ya dwamansem ntino obo wura baabi a na manfo do mo se tenetere so se ampa maami odi ne yehwea enye ye efiri se wonde wa ma ne ho kwan a ama bonsam adore no abonsam efa ne mu ye ne ma hodo pinu a akuma kire se saa de ya de se ha no papa se dwumadie ahodo pinu a wokompo a baabi esese wotena no ne yayi ne yipamu ne amana kotena baabi ne nyina ne se yentimi ema no emfra edom no a abani mu efiri se wono dwumadie na wodie ne ntino ama ebi hu no kwan bi to se ne ho entempo na nkampese watimi atena nipa mu akuma kire se saa de ya de se edi ne nya pa na obesra manfo se se dwumadie na wodie ne de ya de se ebo okwan bi so ntimi mu hu ne sesebe wo bonsam na se wa ma ne ho kwan se bonsam emfa ne mu ensa ya de na adwuma na woyo
Adismama obi hon man anim sakrante enso kora no na onenam kwaye mu ho keke na onde wo hwe na wade na aso ene wade ye ni program akoma mama Zimbi eno no wahu se de ni duku no esi etwawiem eno se na megina na mede kase boni nyina egu ede amamo akosua somwa Elizabeth abroche hima wono ene sansem ne mu maame Yemra Amos wono ne direct me na Debra so etualai ena abebeken wono so agina camera na chi ede emame Yemra seta chianom ena Fehizike no mo nyina wo control room ho a wo mo eboaye ena kase bono wo mo tamachi a meso me ba kenkan ede emamo at 40 label nana afia hamo de papa bi ene de waje mensem ba bia ekoyi atade ehemi on pam ye obetimi apam bi dia so de efe krase ni say yo na woye mema ne nkwada nyina ne maade eya no so obekọ patase oni paparazzi ena esanso freno 0244 607305 nana obejuju ama wonso ohun etimi ayefe ankasa eno so edanchan a na de wosiesie mitire wo ma me kama pa enso Miami Nua Mavis Cosmetics and Beauty Salon wono so ewa Henema Kokobin New Side Junction wa wale taxi station no edi anum hwe on de na asem nyina so obi ani tirinwi bubuo no sa wo ba obesa matirinwi ni nyina fuse brom ede amao enti ene yanti me ka hokọ na wonsiesie wada wo wade no emfa emma friend 0551 588323 na ene no emmo enkomo wenum na nwumre omo so boa yen ema yetimi ebekenkan ye de ma wa wo fie nso mechiawo na mekacha se kwaso ane Kessben TV onse TV eso FM mede edinya ako abro no majima